welcome to eatinworkout.com. What are we on now? Recipe 6, that's it. It's going to be a very, very interesting dish we're doing for you today. Forgive some of that background noise, all right? We weren't sure whether we're going to come out here, but the day is so beautiful here in Miami. We're coming towards the end of summer, but there's a bit of drilling going on there, so forgive us. But it was too good not to be out here. Today's dish is a spaghetti dish. It's like a bolognese, but it's going to have a little bit of a twist to it. We're not going to use spaghetti. We're going to use, well, it calls for ziti or shell-like pasta. I'm going to use penne, and you'll see why a little bit later. But it's got a special ingredient and a nice little kick to it. There's a bit of chili involved, which you don't usually find in a spaghetti bolognese. And we've got a nice cheese input as well. So stay with us. And even though it's a pasta dish, would you believe, like all our dishes that you'll find here on YouTube and on our website, eatinworkout.com, it's under 400 calories and you can cook it in under 20 minutes. So we're keeping in good form here. And then about halfway through, I'm going to come back out here again and I'll show you how to perform an exercise, this time for the upper back. So look, a lot of noise. Let's get ourselves into the kitchen, out of this furore, because there's going to be a lot going on in the kitchen as well. So see you in there now, in a minute or so. Well, welcome back in to our nice tiny little kitchen. Ingredients, let's run through those for this recipe, okay? Wonderful ground beef. Now, I've said this in the past before, you've got to use quality ingredients. Very simple. Quality ingredients mean a quality meal. So for the extra couple of dollars, please get extra lean ground beef and with no hormones, no antibiotics, okay? USDA certified. It'll taste a lot better, and these cows were also grass-fed as well. In my personal opinion, as a nutritional consultant, I don't like cows that eat grain. They're not supposed to, and you get a totally different taste. The milk tastes different, the chocolate tastes different. So go that extra mile, because you're going to be hungry, you want to eat well. So there's the beef. You'll see all the ingredients if you come to the website. They're going to be there for you on eatinworkout.com. But I bought, this is for 2 people, all of these things here, so that's just over half a pound. Salt over there, but black pepper here, so there's a couple of pinches of black pepper. Like I was telling you on the balcony, here we go. Chili powder, I think there's a tablespoon of that, tablespoon of basil that you can see there. I've loaded it up a little bit more because I think it's going to give us extra flavor. Here's the tomato sauce that's going to go in there as well. In addition, this is our little secret ingredient that's going to give it a much smoother taste as well, and beautiful blend and contrast to our chili. This is not going to be a hot dish. The chili just gives it a little tiny bit of a kick. If you want it a little bit hotter, then obviously add some more chili powder. That's going to be our nice balance to everything. Some mushrooms, which I'm just going to cut up. Already done so with yellow onion. I often use purple that you've seen, which is a bit of a stronger taste, but these are a little bit sweeter. I've already chopped up the garlic. You know about that because we've used it before. All right, mushrooms. Now this is interesting with this recipe. If I hadn't seen it on the recipe, I wouldn't have done it this way. But what it calls for is for these mushrooms, it says sort of 5 porcini mushrooms, but these are 3 huge big baby bell mushrooms. The recipe asks for something very interesting, and that is that we place the mushrooms in the water at the same time that we do. So here you go, Chris. Here's my patriotism coming out again in my British mug. So this is for the 2 of us here. So I've got about a cupful. So I'm using very small penne. I'm going to add a pinch. And what the recipe also says, which is very interesting, for a tablespoon, but I'm not going to do this. This is for it not to stick together, I suppose, but I'm not even sure if this works that much. I'm just going to put a little drizzle of oil in there. Now remember, I think I mentioned this on a former recipe that we had, that try not to stir your pasta too much. Give it one quick stir, let it separate in the water, which, as you can see, we already had on to boil. We put it on there before we went out onto the balcony and said hello to you. The same with the pan. That pan is, yeah, it's ready to go as well. Now, this is the interesting thing about the recipe. Take a quick step back, Chris. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take, you don't see this on cooking shows, do you? Let's just grab the mushrooms. But as we often say, we're not chefs, and thank God. We're just people like you. It's late, we got home after a hard day, we've been in traffic and we're hungry and we want to eat, but we want to be healthy, we want to lose weight, or we just want to eat with great nutrients. And all of this is under 400 calories. But this is the bit I love. Even though this is a pasta dish, it's going to be, I think we manipulated it a little bit to be 396 or 97 calories. So don't say we're not trying here, but we have kept it under our typical 400. All right, so that's the first part. The next part is we're going to spray. Now I'm only going to do a little bit. I'll tell you why in a second. And I'm going to take it off. This is a hot pan because we have to do something. We'll partly place it on there. Let's go back a bit, Chris. Recipe calls for the ground beef going in there and adding the ingredients one by one. But I've made spag bol, as we call it, or spag bol, spaghetti bolognese in England, even though this is not spaghetti bolognese, but it's close, before, and done other dishes. And I saw my mum as well. Remember, again, I'm not a chef. I'm just one of these boring personal trainers and nutritionists and health coaches, but I saw my mum mix it and really, really blend and infuse all these ingredients together, because then you get really inside the meat without it being fried first. So what went in was the pepper, the chili powder, and our basil. So there you go. The other thing is, I may have mentioned this in a previous recipe. By the way, if you haven't seen our other recipes, tut. I'm just going to get a towel here. They're all, this is 6, so the other 5 are on YouTube. Remember, we only keep them on YouTube for, you can come back up if you want, we only keep them on YouTube for a month or so, and then they go to our website. So, you know, keep up with us, all right? Even if you're going on holiday or something, save it. But in one of the other recipes, I talked about touching your food, especially if you're going to cook it. Use as many of your senses. You know, mostly when you're on cooking shows, they talk about the smell or the taste or what have you. But feel your food. You're going to respect it more. You're going to enjoy it more, because it's your own endeavours. Plus, touching things, I think, just gives you so much more pleasure. All right, come over here. We've got the pan that was warm. I just sprayed it a little. Now, I told you why they said add more oil to this. I don't want to, because I believe that you're going to have enough fat in that meat. So in go our onions. Now, you're going to see one other little thing here that the recipe doesn't call for. It's very interesting. I've added some garlic. I cut it up a long time ago so that it could breathe and that the allicin could come out, and this onion. But I like the taste of garlic, plus, as I'm sure a lot of you know, especially those with heart disease, hypertension, blood issues, whatever. Garlic will help. It's an antimicrobial, it's antibacterial, and it has properties, they say, that it thins the blood a little bit. So it's wonderful for the heart. So let's just make this garlic and the onions that you can now hear just spluttering a little bit in there. So we're just going to turn them a little bit brown, and then we're going to add our ground beef. So just a little bit more, because they're still going to cook once I've added the ground beef. All right, good. We've given them a bit of a start there. Let me reach, Chris. Let's grab our ground beef. Here you go, with all our spices and condiments added. So I'm just going to spread it out a little bit and play around with it somewhat. I've got it on at quite a fast temperature, so I'm going to slow that a little bit. Okay, So what you want to do is just break it up. Obviously you don't want lumps of thick meat, but as the fat exudes from it, it's going to be easier to manipulate. I'm just going to start it off here. And what you want is for it to be in your frying pan here for, I think the recipe calls for 7 to 8 minutes, but of course that's going to hinge on your cooking utensils. Are you using gas? Are you using electric? How high do you have it? Because I don't think it says it. I've got it, I mean, this goes up to what? Well, 10, and I've got it at number 5, so I'm halfway. But so it's at a medium temperature. You see the onions browning there. Wow, it's starting to smell nice. But you just keep playing with it, manipulating it little by little until that reddish pink color has disappeared. Let's go back onto the balcony because I have an exercise to show you. This one is for your scapula, your shoulder blades, your upper back. We haven't shown you one for that body part. We've done abs, we've done chest, etc., etc., and glutes and legs. So this is going to be a good one. You either can use, as you'll see, a dumbbell, or I've made it easier because I know some of you don't have dumbbells, just an implement from indoors. So we're going to show you. We're going to meet you out on the balcony in a second. All right, I'm going to get washed up. Let's run through this with you. It's upper back, as I was saying to you, in the kitchen. I'm just thinking here, and the technical term for this is single arm, bent over, rowing. So imagine if you were sitting down in a rowboat. That's your action. You can see my shoulder blades, what's called adducting, coming together. Well, you're going to do that with a single arm, and nice and slow and controlled, as we always say. Now, we're doing this on the balcony, but we may show you on the sofa as well. But grab 2 chairs. This is better than using the sofa, and I'll tell you why. It's because your foot can overhang. I'm just pushing them there for stability. So if you've got 2 chairs that you use to dine at your table, use those. Now the important thing is, before I start, show you, here's the dumbbell that we're going to use. Look, this is 4 or 5 pounds. You can use this simple gallon of water there if you don't have dumbbells. I'm using 15 pounds. Ladies, start maybe with 5s, 10s, but it's about quality, not quantity, as we always say to you. All right, key things here. Hand, splay out the fingers, because this is your roots, like the roots of the tree. You're going to have the wrist, elbow directly above wrist, shoulders directly above the elbow. So straight line here, perpendicular to the floor. Also, my leg comes back a little bit, so extend at the hips, foot flat on the floor. These 2 are supporting your body, so it's critical to get that right, because they want your body to be stable. No movement here apart from the arm. And then what you'll see is I'm going to push my hips back a little so that my back can be totally flat from spine, cervical spine, C1, right through to my coccyx, which get pushed down just a little bit, but no curve. Don't bring the shoulders up, so you enhance the curvature in your lower back, in the lumbar area. You want to push back the hips and flatten the back. How does that look, Chris? All right? Is that flat? Okay. And I got myself supported here on the chair. Grab the weight, and very slowly you just bring the weight up to the side wall of your chest. Hold and lower and stretch. It doesn't reach the floor, it doesn't touch the floor. Get what's called a pre-stretch before the second rep. Up you come, and this is the tempo. It's almost like you're pulling the cord of a lawnmower in horizontal position. And then what you want to do is, as you pull up, this is where you exhale, and I feel the inside of my triceps on that arm rub the serratus, rub the side of my rib cage here. That's the action you're doing. And you're breathing, exhale with the effort, inhale on the way down. 10 of those. My foot overhung here, which is nice, rather than pushing it up. And as I brought it down, I'd say 8 to 10 reps. Then what you're going to do is you're going to turn around and do the other arm. All right? You can do it on the sofa. If you don't have two chairs like this, just simply do it on the sofa. But that will develop a little bit of your lats, upper back, as we said, and you're getting a bit of shoulder, but also bicep workout as well with the elbow flexion. And of course, what's keeping you stable is your core. So it's a compound exercise, brilliant exercise for upper back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see you back in there, because that's almost ready, I reckon. Bye. Wow, do you hear that? Here, have a quick look at it, Chris, there, and you can come back to me. Hear it? It is bubbling away. And look at that ground beef. Pinkness almost disappeared there. So we're almost ready while we were out on the balcony. That was wonderful, you see. You could have done at least three sets while you were out there. Okay, so this beef is beautifully cooked. I'm just breaking it up even more so, because you may find just a few little lumpy large parts in here, so you just want to make it even. All right, now this is when we add the tomato sauce. If you don't have tomato sauce, my guess is, I haven't done it, but let me add a little bit and stir it in. My guess is you can add some marinara pasta sauce. That's what I would do. It's not going to give you exactly the same flavor, and it's probably going to be a bit thicker, but it will do. I mean, we're not rocket scientists here, and you don't have to be exact. I don't know about you when you're cooking at home, but I don't particularly follow a recipe per verbatim. I would have your own individualistic imagination, and we all have our own taste buds, don't we? So just add or subtract according to how it tastes. See, look, that's a little bit. I think I'm going to add a touch more. See, it called for a whole can. Yum. This is good for you guys, this tomato sauce, because one of the chemicals, shall we say, compounds that it contains is such called lycopene. And lycopene, plenty of research out there, gentlemen, is a very powerful chemical in reducing, not eliminating, reducing the risk of prostate cancer. Not something I really want to bring up while I'm cooking, but you never know why I brought it up. But yeah, this is not just a cooking show, a fitness show, but as you know from the website, we want to practice good health, and part of good health is of course prevention. So it's how you think, what you do, and what you eat, what you put into your system that can help reduce the risk. A bit like wearing a safety belt. Reduces the chances, doesn't it? All right, look at that. That's just got to cook a little bit longer, then we're going to take it off. It's bubbling and it's boiling, so that's what you're going for, and it's all mixing together. In the meantime, this pasta, let me just help myself. Oh, yum. Cooked to what's called al dente. Italian, I think, means not hard, not soft, just right for the tooth. So place that in our colander. Let's drain the water. Those mushrooms in there look fantastic as well. All right, this saucepan is hot. Water's drained. I'm going to put all of this back into there. Keep it hot. Let's put it. It's not cooking anymore. I've turned it off, but at least that'll keep it warm. All right, we're going to need this again, because I'm going to do a little trick. You know, I just thought of something. Chris runs the camera work here, but unfortunately I haven't trained him to do the washing up yet. He just does his camera, comes over and helps me with that. He's chuckling. So I'm going to minimize my plates here. So calls for 2 of these. I'm going to do 1.5. So this will leave me, well, hold a minute. There you go. Look at that. Now what we're going to do with this is, let's turn this down a little bit, because this is going to melt on its own. Watch this start to melt. Man, this is like, reminds me as a kid with my ice cream melting. But look at that, and it's going to give it a nice colour. But I'd imagine to the taste, no, you're going to get that cheesy taste, because the Italians use ricotta in actually a lot of their desserts, in addition to their appetizers and entrees. So it's going to give it, this recipe, a smoothness to it. Alright, so we've got it there. We're just, and it's almost melted, as you can see. Perfect. Alright, let it bubble there a little bit while I turn the heat off. Back to our pasta, which is still hot. Now, I've deviated from the recipe. A recipe I think said, if I'm right, take your ground beef, put it in a bowl and pour this over the top. Well, I like this to be underneath and my pasta to sit on. Now, if you used that rotini or ziti, it would be little shells, and those would retain some of the beef, but some of it will get into the penne here. But it's a lot clever. Why aren't I using it? All right, I'll be honest with you, I forgot to buy it. But this, and what we're also using is, we're using 100% whole wheat penne, so even better for you. Less simple carbohydrates, remember, and therefore smaller release of sugar. All right, that sits over there. I could decorate it. I'm just going to mix it a little bit more, but obviously having a little sauce attached to it, of course it'll flow to the bottom. You know what happens. There we go. Just mix it up. Your kids are going to, if you've got kids are going to love doing this. And then you could, I've forgotten to do so, you could sprinkle it with a little bit of parsley or something. But hang on a minute, Chris, have I got enough lime here? Some cilantro, or take, since we use basil, you could take whole leaves of basil. But you know what it's about. Once again, we're no Martha Stewart, but we do like to, and especially if you're cooking for others, don't you want to have a little bit of a nice presentation just to set off the dish? There you go. There's that. It's like a spaghetti bolognese without the spaghetti, with ricotta cheese, less than 400 calories, and you'll get that complete breakdown of all the nutrients and the caloric values on our website, eatingworkout.com. All right, I'm gonna grab some wine. I'm going to grab a couple of glasses. Chris and I are going to tuck into this, and I'm going to ask you that quiz question. See you shortly. Okay. Oops. Oh, so you caught me doing my favourite part to the show. All right. This is definitely the best bit. It's ready. Chris has got the camera. Just giving him some in his little bowl here. I'm just going to nick some from the big bowl here. So there you go. I'm hungry. Got our wine ready. But before he and I tuck ourselves in, there's the quiz question. Remember earlier I was talking about tomato sauce. Sorry ladies, but I'm sure some of you have loved ones, or guys and husbands, so think of this for them if they didn't watch this video. But if you did as a guy as well, I talked about tomato sauce and the benefits, particularly for guys. What were those benefits? Come to the website, eatingworkout.com, type it in, go to the recipe section, you'll see, type in the answer. If you have the right answer and you're one of those that we pull out, then we'll send you a prize, okay? All right, look, I can't wait for this any longer. It's getting cold and I can smell it, that chili, the ricotta cheese. Seriously, there's a lovely little blend, and that basil is coming through as well. So we're going to enjoy this. You do too. This is a fantastic meal, honestly. It's really, really tasty. Your kids are going to love it as well. Under 400 calories. We're going to see you next time for recipe 7. In the meantime, namaste.